All right. Well, this is the first time I've gone live. So, hello, everyone. I understand sometimes in the first time you go live, there might not be anybody there, but that's okay. You just continue to talk. So, we'll just go at it here. So, welcome to Power Wheelchairs for Success. If you, hopefully, this will be recorded. I don't know. Hopefully, I pressed all the right buttons, but if not, we can do it again next month. So, I have a list of things I can babble about. You all know that I babble quite well. So, I have a list, plethora of topics that I can talk about right now so that if we are recording, hopefully we are, that this will be for people who will come later and look at the recording. So I think that hopefully it will. And anyway, my first topic here was brands, wheelchair brands, of course, and we're talking about everything and anything wheelchair. So um, the wheelchair brands is kind of important, and at the same time, it's not. But this is the reason why I bring it up because it's important to know who you're choosing because that's the group, that's the agency that will be responding to your needs as you use ABC wheelchair. So I think that, to do a little bit of research, if you haven't uh, received a wheelchair before or you have one now and you're hoping to uh, get another one to retire the one you have, it's good to look at the brands, and I can talk about Tylight, and you know, um, I can also talk about, Pride Mobility or Quantum or Permobile, all there's tons and tons of brands out there. And for me, it was important to choose, and this was my first power wheelchair. So I talked to my therapist and I said, between these brands that we're talking about and these different types of power wheelchairs, which one would you choose? Are they responsible? Are they responsive, when there's a problem with the wheelchair? Um, what is the background of this company? Is it family owned? Is it community owned? Is it just one owner? What is the composition of this company? Are they just in one state or are they in many states? What does that look like? So, you know, I don't think you want to drive yourself crazy, but certainly um, you want to really test and see what the company looks like before you invest time and energy into a company that might not be very responsive to your needs at that point. So check out the brands if you're, getting a new wheelchair at any point, whether it's manual or whether it's power. Talk to your therapist about XYZ company and see how the therapist responds in terms of, "Oh, yeah, no, I've negotiated with them before and they're really good." Or this company, their materials or their wheelchairs are good and they have a good record that, doesn't break down or anything. So, or breaks down very little. You want 0, but, I had a XYZ patient who had this wheelchair, and the company was very responsive and got back to the patient very quickly. So, and I worked with them before, so it's good to get feedback on the XYZ company that you're going to purchase this wheelchair from. Um, in terms of how big it is, who owns it, where are they located, yada da yada da. So, so that's what I had to say about about companies when you're going to invest because it is an investment in a wheelchair. You're investing in the quality, you're investing in the brand and the people behind it. So it's not just a wheelchair. There are people who stand behind, hopefully they stand behind their product and they believe in their product, and that's the wheelchair you want. So people who really care about the wheelchair that they made. So those are just my thoughts, my just rambling thoughts. So I don't see anyone here tonight, but that's okay. We will continue to work here the topics I have, which are many. So the other topic I had was safety tips. You all know that I'm invested highly in safety tips of any kind and all kinds. Today at News You Can Use, one of the articles really struck me uh, because it was about he was a 35-year-old adult who was using a power wheelchair. However, he talked about his school experiences and because the schools were working towards fire safety and shootings and earthquakes or whatever the emergency might come up in a school, and the suggestions they had for people with disabilities and for himself were a bit naive or ridiculous or just not functional at all. So, as a student, he knew that. So, I went a step further to say, um, okay, so we have a school, but let's go further than a school. Let's talk about assisted living or an independent living place or your job or what exactly is the plan if there's an emergency, if there's a shooting, or um if there's a fire or if there's an earthquake, what is the plan for you and what is a safe thing for you to do? You know, that's kind of important to talk about, and it's gotta be a sensible plan and not a ridiculous one, or we don't know the answer, so we're just gonna have you wait at the stairwell. Or we don't know what the answer is if there's a shooting, we're just gonna have you, cram yourself in a bathroom stall. So, these are serious topics, and I think that we really need to put in our 2 cents or our 5 cents or our 100 cents, to it because it has to do with the person with the disability and the fact that they can't run and hide. How am I gonna run and hide in my power wheelchair? Like, give me a break. Or run and duck, that's not gonna work. So, this gentleman, and I have the link in the News You Can Use. It will come on Monday, and down below in the description, you can, click on that link and go to his presentation. There's a good video, in the article itself. You can go down and listen to what his, thoughts are about the strange ideas that they had for people with disabilities, and especially people in wheelchairs, where and what they wanted us to do in an emergency. So, the ideas were kinda strange. But that's something we really need to think about, and think through. Here at the assisted living, I was on second floor when I first moved in. I thought, "This is ridiculous. I know I can't do stairs," and especially during an emergency. And all the answers I got was, Um, all the answer I got was, "Oh, don't worry, the fire department will come and get you." Well, I said, "In your dreams," because they're not gonna they have to take care of 16, 17 people, sometimes 18 people. They're not gonna just all of a sudden jump in and come and get me. You know? Um, we have several people here who are vulnerable, who can't respond very well to an emergency, and those are the people they're gonna go to first. I'm pretty mobile and I'm verbal. I'm mobile in my wheelchair, and they said, "Oh, they'll come and get you at some point." I'm like I started laughing. I'm like, "What?" So, I really said to the team here, I said, I think that it is best you move me down to first floor." And they said, "Oh, no, that's just too much. We just put you on second floor." I said, "For the sake of safety, you strongly recommending you move me to first floor." Because, you know, the problem with all this is that during an emergency, let's say there's a big storm and the lights go out. Well, that means the elevator is gonna go out too. And the other point is, if we have a fire, we can't use the elevator. So there are several issues that prevent us from using the elevator in which several people have a need for. So, "Oh, don't worry, the fire department will get you." It's like, they don't know anybody in the building. So, it's not like magically they're gonna know that the person in room 227 needs to be dragged out. So, even in the last one, we had almost almost a fire, but not quite. Is somebody left on second floor, someone started cooking some beans, some red beans, kidney beans, I guess they were, and, the person, just walked off to do something else and forgot about the beans they had on the stove. So you can guess what happened next. The pot dried up and it started to smoke and filled the room with smoke. So, of course, our alarm system went off, and I just went, the alarm, we didn't know if it was a drill. We thought it was a drill because there was no reason for the fire alarm to go off. We didn't know, we were all on first floor finishing up dinner. So, how are we going to know? So what we did next was we just all kind of sat around. I had to get my pain patch on, so I went to the wellness office, got that done, and then when I went to my bedroom to stretch out, and the alarm was still going, and we had no clue. So I stayed in my room and everybody just kind of slowly millied around in the dining room. And then they got word that the fire department was on second floor. There was an incident and we needed to evacuate immediately. So everyone left and they went to the chapel uh, to wait it out at the nursing home. So in the meantime, I was still sitting in my bedroom wondering if someone had any idea or directions for me and what we were supposed to do. Hence, I had no clue what was going on. So after the emergency passed and the fire department turned off the alarm and gave us the all go ahead to come back, um, somebody realized I wasn't in the group, that I did not evacuate, and so I burned up or I died in the emergency. So one of the members actually from the group came storming into my room and they were very angry. And they said, "Where were you?" And I said, "Well, I was here. Where were you?" And so they told me about the evacuation. I was like, "Oh, well, I guess I died." So so the group realized that we had a problem in terms of executing an evacuation or executing, a response to an emergency. So we really kind of milling around in the building and we talked to each other in terms of, the need to have a better plan for an emergency. And so, because we didn't have one, it wasn't well coordinated, I was left behind, and nobody should be left behind. So at that point, um, we there was a meeting, I guess the staff and some of the members in the building, and what they decided to do was to, uh they got some walkie-talkies, they got a weather alert system, and they named 2 members, 1 person on 1st floor and 1 person on 2nd floor as captains, because in the first emergency, there was a lot of suggestions, a lot of guidance, and a lot of people trying to steer the situation. So in this case, we would have 1 person on 1st floor and 1 person on 2nd floor who would be in charge to make sure that their people on their floor were following the directions and going in the right direction in terms of the evacuation. Whether it was a tornado, whether it was a fire, whether it was a flood or whatever, but to have just one person that we would go to, or that person would come to us and let us know what the next steps were. Now, because I'm in a wheelchair, number 1, and number 2, I'm deaf, I can take off my cochlear implants at night and just go to sleep, and I'd be oblivious to anything in the building. Um, the captain would make sure that everybody who was on their list was in the group and were moving out of the building as they're supposed to, or follow the directions from XYZ situation. So that's what we did. And it takes planning, it takes thinking, it takes participation from the group, from the family, from the school, from the job placement, from wherever, to give a sensible and a safe plan for you who is in a wheelchair to evacuate appropriately and not insensibly. So so that's an idea. If anybody is in assisted living, then, perfect, really make sure that they have a plan in place for you to, follow, or for the staff or the people in your group to follow, because if nobody understands or knows, what the plan is, or everybody has one plan and you have a separate one, that could spell trouble. Sometimes it's better for you, the wheelchair user, to stay with a group than get separated and stuck in some kind of crazy situation where you're alone and waiting for who knows what. So, um, so that's something to think about with your family, with the organization you work for, or where you live, to make sure that you, as the wheelchair person, knows what the plan is. It's sensible, makes sense, because you also have to participate in thinking, is that safe for me to do? And if it's not, why? And give some suggestions, along with the suggestions that you were given. To just sit in the stairwell doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So, but anyway, so that was safety tip number 1. Make sure you know what the plan is and you don't get dumped somewhere by yourself. Um, Other safety tips, um, I guess, we sit long hours in our wheelchairs, and sometimes we forget that our body just has so much tolerance to that. And, it's important to shift. What I do is I take a break in the morning and I transfer over to my recliner and I stretch out. Uh, because of my back problem, my back needs a break, either from sitting or sitting wrong or sitting too many hours. So I just transfer over to my recliner to rest, and then I get back in for lunch, and then after lunch I transfer out for another 2 hours at least, and I'll take a nap or just stare at my phone or whatever, but I'll get out of my wheelchair so I'm in lying down position. I can give my butt a break. So and avoid, sores, because that's pretty serious. When you get a wound, it's very, very hard to heal, and it's very painful. So for those of you who have had sores and blisters and everything else from sitting for long hours, you know what it's like. I haven't had them yet, and thank goodness. The last 2 years, I've been lucky, I guess, but I have made sure that, I get over and I take the breaks I need to take. So so our body needs a break, and we need to keep that in mind, whether it's lying down in bed for an hour or, just getting in a different position. So don't forget to shift, so you don't get any known wounds, because 'cause they're very hard to heal from what I understand. Um, the other one that I have a beef with is that we are known out in the streets, we are known as pedestrians. And I kind of think of it as a wrong description of us. I would prefer that we are known as wheelchair users, and I would prefer that where there are wheelchairs in neighborhoods that they put up a sign. There is a known sign of a wheelchair and a person in a wheelchair. So to put those signs up, even if it's just one person on that street, but if there's a wheelchair user, to put that sign up. And on my street, just in my block, we have the large nursing home next door, and then there's me. And I think there's a couple of people down the street on the next block that use wheelchairs. And it's like, what the heck? So I might at some point write to our alderman or to the mayor to please put up a sign. Have you've seen those signs that say deaf child. And so there are signs like the deaf child for wheelchair users. So I think that that's really important to have that sign up. So if you know on your block that it's you and a couple other people, and it doesn't matter if it's just you, it still matters, and you can write to your alderman or to your mayor or to the Department of Transportation to please put up a sign because you're in the neighborhood and you need to cross the street safely. So if people see that sign, they'll slow down. And there's nothing like that on my street. And I live on a busy, there's the street I live on is busy, and the cross streets, both of them are very busy. So it is really critical to have something that alerts the drivers that there is a wheelchair user who will be crossing the street at some point. So to slow down and to watch for wheelchair users. Um, so or to paint, I put an example, why did my video is called "Why Did the Wheelchair User Cross the Road?" is what I called it. And I gave examples there of what can be done for those roads that are very busy and you have wheelchair users having to cross those roads. And one of the ideas that I really liked was that they painted the corners, they made a protective area with flowers and everything. It was very visible, so you could get off the sidewalk and still be protected in that protected zone where the cars cannot enter or shouldn't enter, and you can still get off the sidewalk and get ready to cross the street, but you're in a protected zone where the car must not um, enter, get too close to the curb. So so I like that idea a lot. They were very creative in their ornaments and how they painted that safety zone. So I think along on this the crosswalks were very, very well done. Um, one of them was done in 3D. So it looked like if you looked at it from the driver's perspective, it looked like you were gonna hit it because it was in 3D. Of course it isn't, and, I'm not sure they should go that far because that would startle a driver, but it was so cool. They painted, another one was very, bright, bright and shiny, had really brilliant colors on it. Another one had, wheelchairs painted in it, so the crosswalks were done, awesomely. I love their designs. So, and it's perhaps those kind of things that we need to do to keep pedestrians and wheelchair users and anybody with a mobility issue safe when they cross the street. Because sometimes, because of the speed we're going or the lack of speed, the light will turn green and we're still crossing, and common sense would say to the driver, I need to wait for this person to cross the road. It's not like they have permission to mow down someone who is still in the crosswalk, and the light turned green, happened to turn green. So I think it's common sense on the part of the drivers. But here in the Milwaukee area, we have a serious problem of drunk drivers, people on drugs, or just kids who have stolen cars and they don't respect the stoplight, and they just race down the street and go through the stoplight. So the cops, the police in the area do have some plans to be able to crack down on that because it's getting scarier and scarier. There's been a lot of car accidents and pedestrian accidents because of these crazy drivers who just go through the blow the light. So I don't even know what the right punishment would be for that. But, I would think some jail time, maybe not too long, but, because they put themselves at risk and they put other people at risk. So, I think a huge fine and some jail time and community service is not even enough for me. If you're gonna get behind the wheel, you need to be responsible, or else. So that's my feeling because I'm a wheelchair user, and when you're standing is one thing, and you're walking, you can kinda get out of the way, hopefully, but if you're in a wheelchair, there's just no way. The wheelchair only goes as fast as it can, the power wheelchairs, and forget it for manual wheelchairs, you're screwed. So so I think it's just really, really important for the cities, no matter what country, what state, what province, what region. It's really important to really review those streets. And the busier, the better. You have to make a plan so that the pedestrians and wheelchair users and people with mobility issues are safe when they step off that sidewalk. So that is my big beef on crosswalks and trying to get to the other side, kinda like the chicken. Why did the wheelchair user cross the road? Well, he was just doing life, so he doesn't have to be mowed down. Uh, the next one is, traveling. There is so much to say about traveling. Uh, you know, Anytime I travel, it's a big to-do, and I'm sure it's a big to-do for all of you too, uh, due to, the wheelchair. Do I take the wheelchair? Do I rent a wheelchair at the other side? What tools do I need to bring? How is my health? Can I travel? What is the airlines going to do? And we've talked a lot about this, and I've posted a lot. I have even the series of the about traveling, the travel opinion. The wheelchair travel opinion is what it's called. So you can take a look at that. And I focused on the airlines because they break approximately 26,000 wheelchairs a year. A year. It's like, What is this? What do you do? Put it through a wood chipper? I mean, for Pete's sake, it's a medical device. So so I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with the airlines. I know that when the only piece I really know is that when the ADA came out, the airlines somehow, wiggled themselves out of the ADA. So now we're fighting tooth and nail to get them in the ADA and for them to show respect for, wheelchair users and to make sure that that wheelchair arrives in one piece. Here in the United States, my hope is that we'll get some legislation passed soon. Right now, I think they have to report every time they break a wheelchair, they have to send in some kind of report. I don't know who gets that, the Department of Transportation, I suppose, but it's just unbelievable. I have no words for it, but so the airlines are a problem. Can we use a train? Probably much safer at this point because we don't have to abandon our wheelchairs to some stranger. You just get on the train just as we are with a wheelchair. However, the transportation and the trip from point A to point B is much slower. So, that's hard on us. Just as an adventure, I have hopes that I might be able to travel from Milwaukee all the way to the state of Washington to visit family. I don't know how that would go, I don't know what it looks like, but it might be like a big adventure, and I might have a lot of fun doing it. So so I don't know. I have that in the back of my mind that, at some point I might do it, or maybe, like, fly to Washington and then take the train back to Milwaukee. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. We'll think about it. So, also, we have to go through a lot in terms of what do we bring with us, you know? The last time I flew, I did not take a wheelchair with me. What my brother did was he rented a scooter on his end. So when I got there, they had the wheelchair at the scooter at the airport, and at the airport, they wheeled me over to where my brother was, and then I was able to transfer over to the scooter. So, I had to pack uh, my reacher. I packed, my little pouch for the scooter. I brought a cushion, to put on the scooter seat. Um, what else? Of course, all my meds. All of them. So, let's see, what else? So you know, um, recently I just did a short trip and I went to do a retreat for about 5 days and I brought my pillow. I have a special pillow that I use to put my legs up because usually they're in pain and putting myself in a special position helps a lot. So and I just use the recliner. I sleep in a recliner here at home and there was a recliner at the retreat house. So so that helped a lot. So it's thinking about what's gonna help you be the most comfortable possible, when you get to the other side. And sometimes we can't when you're flying, it's a little hard to bring a big pillow like I did to my retreat, but if that's something that's gonna help you, then, especially when you have pain, it's important to bring what you need to get some relief during that trip and be able to enjoy it. So those are critical questions. What do I need to bring that will give me relief and help me enjoy the trip and not end up in excruciating pain and be miserable your whole trip. So So those are like little tidbits that I would have for traveling to really think it through, make a list before you fly or before you get on the train or before you get squished in somebody's van. So so that would be important to really think it through. Um, the next topic I had were homes and adaptations. And I've done videos on this before. And, it's if you are lucky enough to be looking at purchasing a home, it'll be really critical that you look at the different areas that need to be adjusted or adapted or changed, inside and out. Because, is there a courtyard? Is there a patio? Is there a little area, grass area? What's in that piece of property? That you need to adjust outside. So, if you're looking at purchasing one, go all the way around the house and say, oh, I would need to change this or that or the other. Um, and inside, the most important places inside the home would be the kitchen, your bedroom, and a bathroom. If it has more than one bathroom, you have to consider, do you need the second bathroom adapted or just one? So, will it be will you be living with family or, by yourself? It just all depends. So, just remember, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom are the 3 areas, critical areas you need to look at. And if the floors are not even, let's say you have a den and there's a step down, how to eliminate that step down or what kind of, ramp would you need to put in there. Nowadays, there's some really good ramps, uh, that can be used. You can purchase them on, Amazon, you know? If you financially, that's a stretch for you, sometimes in the county or in your state, there are organizations that help and have money to do those adaptations in your home. So you can stay in your home, so that home works for you, and you can remain as independent as possible. So ramps, there is funding out there in states and counties for ramps. Um, kitchen, kitchen is really critical because you don't wanna have to depend on someone to get dishes down for you or a glass down for you or a bowl down for you. So, truly, my friend, the kitchen would need a makeover to make sure that all the drawers and the lower cabinets are yours, or at least a section of the kitchen is yours, where you have the toaster in a comfortable spot, and you have the bowls and the silverware and the plates and the pots and pans that you're gonna use in a specific area where you can reach it. I can't tell you how annoying it is. Right now I can't reach the cereal. I have to wait in the morning for the aide to bring down the cereal. So, I'm hoping someday we'll be able to bring that cereal down so that, if I need a snack or something, I can just go in the kitchen and grab it. But that will be a video for another day. But, truly, check out the cabinets and lower cabinets and the drawers to see which ones you need to claim as yours and put everything you need in there. Um, Same thing with the bathroom. There can be higher cabinets or lower cabinets, and maybe there's no cabinets. Maybe you need to take out the cabinets completely. But if you're looking at a redo of a bathroom, and there's tons of companies these days who redo bathrooms. Some are specialized in doing handicap accessible bathrooms. So look around in your area and touch base with their county to see if there's funding or a group or an organization that could help you uh, with that bathroom. And sometimes, as I've said in the video, sometimes they will need to do a big project. They fund and they do adaptations, home adaptations as one large project, not just the kitchen or just the bathroom. They'll do an evaluation of your home and they'll say, these are the areas that we see are a problem for you. And then they'll do those areas, they'll do the bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, whatever needs or a ramp outside, but they'll do several things because that's how their funding works. So, other organizations might only do ramps. So you'd have to sign up for their financial support and their assessments and their execution of putting ramps inside or outside of your home or both. My home right now doesn't require any ramps, which I'm very grateful for, but we do have some transitions between flooring and carpet that are murder. I always have to be careful because by the kitchen area and the hallway, there are some big transitions that really, my wheelchair will end up ripping up someday. Okay, there I am. Sorry about that. So, so you have to look at the organizations and what they cover and how they will help you and what they will help you with. And make sure you read the fine print. They might want to do your home because they're going to do a big commercial. And so they'll do adaptations in your home for free just to promote their business, which would be fine. I wouldn't say no to it. So that could be one way, and it could be another that, um, there's no strings attached and they just do the assessment and do the upgrades you need for your new home. Talking about apartments, apartments is a huge, huge problem, as well as homes that you might be purchasing. There is a scarcity in terms of apartments that are accessible. Huge, huge problem. So, I want to put it out there for people who are involved in construction, who are thinking of building apartments, to make sure they have at least a 2% of their apartments accessible, but truly accessible, that they understand what accessible is. Because sometimes people make an apartment and they make it a bathroom accessible, but they don't make anything else accessible. So, if you're gonna make an apartment accessible, it has to be the kitchen, the bathroom, and the bedroom, and all one floor. So, give me a break. Don't do just the kitchen and say, "It's accessible." Understand what accessibility is, especially someone in a wheelchair, especially someone who's using a walker or a cane of any kind. So, um I think people who are involved in doing these buildings, apartments, need some educating about accessibility and what accessibility really means. So, so I want people out there who are in construction to get educated. And if you're going to do an apartment that's accessible, please do, but the right way, not just one piece. So, So that's what I had to say about just know that there are homes, most homes are not accessible. So don't get frustrated that I can't find a home that's accessible because you're not going to find it. That's like looking for a needle in a haystack. So find a home that's not going to cost too much or an arm and a leg to adapt it, basically. Or, don't spend a lifetime finding an apartment that's accessible because you're probably not going to find it, but see if the landlord, because there are funds for landlords to adapt an apartment. So that's important for me to say. There's not only funds for you if you buy a home, but there's also funding for landlords to adapt their apartments. So that's really, really important to know, at least. Um, also, um, in your home, let's say you already have a home, you are going towards uh, having to use a wheelchair, even if it's part time or full time, and you're seeing some difficulties in your home. One of those things could be that's really important is to um, make sure that you clear out, start reducing now. Your bedroom needs to be the first place that's comfortable and you have plenty of space in the middle of the room to navigate. Put everything against the walls and make sure that you have a free path to get to your bed. Make sure that you have some bars. My closet in my room was just not accessible. It's a nice closet, but that's about it. So I would say, there are some bars that hook on to the higher bar, and so it lowers completely, and that's what saved me. So I was given some bars that just hook on to the higher bars, and now they're at my level. So that was awesome, a great quick fix, and it's cheap. It's pretty cheap to do that. So see if you can go to your hardware store or to, maybe a specialized store that has bars that hook onto the higher bar in the closet, and then you don't have to do any kind of construction or taking apart. Um, Bathroom, you gotta make it as accessible as possible. If hopefully your wheelchair fits in there. If it doesn't, um, I don't know how you wanna handle that, but, um if you own the home already, then it might be good to reach out or see if put your hand in your pocket and see if you have enough money to move some walls or knock down a wall and just make it bigger and accessible. If your use of a wheelchair is going to be long term, then truly start making some plans to adapt the bathroom. The bathroom is an important place, obviously, for obvious reasons. The shower, the toilet, the sink. I had to make some minor adaptations because this is an assisted living, so the bathroom was already accessible, but we had to do some little tweaking. You know, my wheelchair upstairs fit just fine, and my wheelchair fit just fine down here. But, like, the sink wasn't exactly accessible, so I put on a faucet extender, what's called a faucet extender, and you can find those on Amazon. So, faucet extender, really, really cool. And you can do the plastic ones, the rubber ones, or you can do the whole, screw in, onto your faucet, so up to you. But that was a lifesaver for me, because when I'm seated, I wanna be able to reach the faucet, so the faucet actually brings the water to me, and that's great. For the shower, even though I had a bench, the bench was too far away for me to reach and just not comfortable at all. So, we put in a shower chair, and that helped me a lot. What else did we do? Because I was initially completely dependent on my arms to transfer, we put in a commode, but a larger commode. I requested, one that was for, um, what do you call it? Geriatric commode. Bariatric commode. So it's a larger commode, and it had plenty of space for me to put my hands down and transfer. So if you're thinking of an idea, like, because upstairs I was putting my hands on the toilet seat, and at one point, the toilet seat broke and went flying in one direction, I went flying in another. That was not fun. Even though I'm laughing now, it was not fun. That was a hard fall. So, um, either you're gonna have to get a special toilet seat or, a bariatric, come out and put it on top of the toilet seat. You're gonna have to lift up the toilet seat and put it onto the bare toilet, and then you'll have plenty of space to transfer with your hands. It'd be important to keep it clean, obviously, but it we've left it that way, and, even though I'm better at my transfers now, we're just gonna leave it that way because my condition just kinda goes up and down, so for the next down, the bathroom is ready. So so adaptations, just keep your floors clear of clutter, of chairs, of rugs, remove rugs 'cause your wheelchair might get stuck or whatever, so, um, see if you can put in some ramps, where needed. Take out those crazy transitions, see if that can be changed for a flat one or no transition stuck on the floor anyway. Make sure that, a professional carpenter, not a carpenter, but carpet person, maybe a carpet person and a carpenter, I don't know. But carpet person could come in and take a look and see what you need to do. So, but take out those transitions. They are murder. So I can't even imagine what it would be like with a manual wheelchair. Um, okay, this is one that people might not be contemplating much, but it has to do with driving again. I'm one person who is working towards driving again. I've driven for years, and I've heard there's absolutely no reason for a person with disability not to drive. So my brain seems to still work. I wouldn't drive if I'm not feeling well. I wouldn't drive if I'm really tired. You know, I would drive when I'm well, when I'm ready, if I have a need to go out. Um, but truly, um, driving is possible for some of us, and I would encourage anyone to look into it. You might have to save up some pennies because you have to put some special stuff in your car and stuff to be able to drive. Neurology doesn't want me ever driving with my feet again, so I shall not. But they said I can drive with hand gears, and so that's what we're going to work towards. That the nurse here doesn't want me driving. Period. She can sit in the back seat. Watch me do it. So, I'm driving again, and I will let you know and clue you into my whole experience. So, if you're someone who wants to drive again, not sure where to start in your state or where you live, see if you can touch base with your therapist or with an OT, occupational therapist, and they will help you through the process. So my OT person is waiting for me. I have to finish therapy first, and then we'll do the training. And if all goes well after that, then we will put in the mechanics to the car and that I need, the adaptations, and then I go back to the Department of Motor and Vehicles for them to test me, and if all goes well there, then they will, change my license to, the restrictions, which would be hand gears, so those are the steps I need to follow right now, and, I'm getting close to finishing up with, rehab, so I'll talk about the next steps and what's gonna happen. We shall see. It'll be a surprise. Never a dull moment. Oh, yeah. The next topic I had, to start to wrap up things is socializing. Sometimes because we're in a wheelchair and we're affected sometimes emotionally, we think we can't go out anymore. We feel like we can't socialize anymore because we're in a wheelchair. So who's gonna want us? Really doesn't matter. Socializing is really important for, your behavioral health needs and for your spirit, for your just as a human being, we are social beings, and rarely do we live like hermits. So so truly, if you're not sure how to maneuver things, invite people over to your house. Have pizza, movie, play cards, you know. Can't be like that all the time, but until you figure out how to get out and in a safe manner and go to where you need to go in a safe manner, um, then yeah, invite friends over, family over, and do some fun stuff together. But yeah, I don't let this chair stop me. And I plugged myself into a county program that has vans, accessible vans, and I do pay, you know, $4 one way and $4 the other way. And not everyone might be able to afford that, but um, I can go anywhere in the county I want with those vans. And so that's what I do. Using the buses might be taxing for me because I'm very, very low energy. So just getting on one bus and getting to from point A to point B is exhausting. So I can't imagine having to take 2 buses or 3 buses to get to where I wanna go. So when I know it's a longer trip, then I take the van, the accessible van, and I get to where I need to go. So, I'm sure not in every place, but in a lot of counties and states, they will have similar programs. So check out your county, your region, your state, your province, and see what's available for you to get from point A to point B. And it might be called something else. It might be called a taxi program, or it might be called van program, or a transit disability transit program, or so you'd have to kind of look and see what's available. And then you might have a van, you might be driving already, and you can get around. There are some programs out there that support and help with purchasing a van, an accessible van. So that might be a possibility for you. Maybe a family member is willing to drive, maybe you can drive. So it all depends. I just saw a guy who had special equipment in the car, and it was pretty impressive. He drove with a joystick. Like, I want that. He actually drove his car with a joystick. Unbelievable. So yeah, that was impressive. So he had no steering wheel, it was just the joystick, and you could see just the mechanics of the steering wheel going back and forth, but it was really cool to see, and he drove just fine. So, don't limit yourself. Figure a way to get out, even if it's just to go to the bar or to a friend's house or to a restaurant, but it's important to get out and socialize. Think about it. It's an invitation. You might say, "Lisa, I'm not ready," and that's okay if you're not ready. I just got to the point where I was more than ready. So so truly think about it for your own health and your own sake. Try some small trips in the beginning, and then, little by little, extend it. So, um, and if you're not sure how, call your county, see what transportation plans are out there for you. And, you know, in a rare situation, does your insurance cover anything? So um, it's some of that and all of that, but it's good to do the research and know what's out there for you. Don't be a hermit. This is a big one, and all of us know about, finding places that are accessible and not getting stuck and going somewhere that is not accessible. So, I know I did a video on apps, and so look for that one. I think it's called wheelchair travel apps or wheelchair user apps or something like that. So there are quite a few apps out there, and the more information you put in there, the better it works for all of us. So I will leave you with all those thoughts and all those ideas and all my rambling. We will try this next month. But for now, it is 8:45. We made the whole hour, folks. So I'm hoping that this was fun if you're listening in, and we'll see you next month.